walk-in closet. I got my trusty, fake brick wall sheet behind me to make it look cool. So I finally looked at my download numbers 30 days after launching the show, and this is what they said. So to give you a bit of backstory, so episode 1, I interviewed Travis Brown of Poddex at Poddex on Instagram. Go check him out. Great guy. Great conversation. And in that conversation, we started talking about podcast download numbers. What do they mean and are they useful? He basically challenged me to not look at my download numbers for 30 days. The outcome of the conversation, and a lot of conversations that I've had with other podcasters, has been download numbers are not all that useful. They don't really tell you anything useful other than how many downloads you have had. And that doesn't mean people listen to the show. It doesn't mean people like the show. It's not a trend up or down or anything like that. So there was no reason to look. And so he challenged me for 30 days, just don't look at your download numbers, just make the show that you want to make. And so that's what I did. So for the first 5 episodes of Inside the Podcast Studio, I made the show that I wanted to make. I made creative intros because I thought it was fun, creative outros and different ways inside the episode to kind of grab attention. The last episode that I released, which was episode 5, as I'm recording this, halfway through the conversation, I just dropped in 5 minutes of dead air. Just 5 minutes. I dropped in 5 seconds. I dropped in 5 seconds of just dead air. So the guy's talking, he ends what he's saying, and then it's just 5 seconds of dead air because I knew that somebody listening to that would be like, hold on, like my phone stopped working or something. And then I started talking and telling them the thing that I was telling them, which was, sign up to my newsletter or go and review the show or whatever it was. So I was doing all sorts of creative things like that. And then after 30 days, I really wanted to know how many downloads did I have. I started this show with nobody listening. I started the show on a new Instagram account, so I didn't bring over any friends. I didn't bring over any listeners from my old podcast. And so everyone that was listening to this show, bar myself and my partner who also listened to the show, was people that I didn't know. And so I had a look at the download numbers, and in the first month, I had 171 listeners. So I use Sounder FM. Sounder FM differentiates between streams and listeners, because what could happen is, somebody could stream the episode, which could be a download. It could be partially listening to an episode and then listening to a bit more later without downloading. All the same person. So they'll count streams, and then they'll try and figure out which one of those streams was one person and that person's a listener. So I had 171 unique listeners for the first month of Inside the Podcast Studio. Now, personally, I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a pretty good result considering I didn't bring over anybody that I already knew to the show. So none of those people was my friends or my family. It was literally just new people that had discovered the show either from Instagram, which is where I mostly am right now at Inside the Pod Studio, or it was from guests who had shared the show, or it was from content that I was posting on Instagram, and then guests would reshare that content because I've been clipping videos from the show primarily to put on Instagram, primarily with the intention that it's really easy for then a guest to just hit the share button and share it to their audience. So that was month 1. That's what I looked at. In terms of how it's changed, it hasn't really changed anything. I still enjoy making the show. I still enjoy doing the show that I want to do. The good thing about this is it's giving me a baseline of this is the number of listeners that I have right now, having done nothing except for posting on Instagram and trying to get my guests to share the episode as they come out. So I'm going to try a few things in the next month. I'm going to try some Instagram ads, so boosting posts on Instagram to try and get in front of more people that are interested in podcasting and seeing how that affects the numbers, whether I get more listeners from that or not. And then I can use that as a baseline and go forward and see, what things am I trying that seems to move the needle in terms of growing the show. So that's where I'm at right now, just giving you guys an update, and I will be back. I guess I'll be back in 30 days and I'll let you know what happens in the next 30 days of the show. Oh, and if you haven't listened to the show, at Inside the Pod Studio on Instagram or insidethepod.co/podcast, all the links are there for all the different episodes for all the different podcast platforms. So go and check out the show. I would love to know what you think. Oh, and PS, I would also like to know, do you guys look at your download numbers? And if you look at your download numbers, how do you use that information? Do you use that information? All that kind of stuff. Let me know in the comments, and I will catch you later.